Hello everyone and welcome to the new session of the biology lecture series, and today we'll be discussing some of the practice problems that are related to the chapter nutrition. So this chapter is from the class 10th science book, okay, and today we'll be discussing some of the objective type questions. Alright, so in objective type question we'll be discussing the multiple choice questions. So let's begin with this session. So this is the first question here. In this question, they are asking about the compensation point. Now, the question is the compensation point refers to the intensity of light at which. Okay, so before talking about this question, we should first know what is compensation point. All right, so compensation point we have already discussed in our previous lecture. What was compensation point? So compensation point is that intensity of light at which the rate of photosynthesis, okay, the rate of photosynthesis is equal to the rate of respiration. So now you already know that during photosynthesis, what happens? The carbon dioxide is fixed, or you can say carbon dioxide is assimilated or it is absorbed from the environment. Okay, and what happens during respiration? The carbon dioxide is released during respiration. Okay, so here you can see, or you can also define compensation point as the point at which, or you can say the light intensity at which the carbon dioxide absorbed by the plants, okay, during the process of the photosynthesis is equal to the amount of carbon dioxide released during the respiration in plants. Okay, so this is clear. Now what happens at compensation point? Okay, so here, as we have discussed, the amount of carbon dioxide absorbed during the photosynthesis or utilized during the photosynthesis equal to the amount of carbon dioxide released during respiration. So what should happen because of this? There is no net exchange of gases. Okay, there is no net exchange of the gases between the plant and the environment. Okay, between what? Between the plant, you can say, and the environment. So there is no net exchange of gases. So what happens? There is no building material. Okay, so the plant is not building any biomass. Plant is not building any biomass. What does this mean? This means the plant is not showing any growth. So there is no growth because the plant is not building any biomass. So because of this, there is no growth of the plant. So compensation point is, okay, or you can say at compensation point, there is no growth of the plant. So this is a negative feature for the plant. Okay, or you can also say at compensation point, there is no net photosynthetic gain. Okay, there is no net photosynthetic gain. Why? Because the rate of photosynthesis is equal to the rate of the respiration. During photosynthesis, the carbon dioxide is fixed. Okay, first it is absorbed from the environment and then it is fixed with the help of which cycle? We have already discussed, with the help of either the C3 cycle, which happens in the C3 plants, or with the help of the C4 cycle. In some plants, we also have the CAM pathway. okay, which is an adaptation to the tropical regions, dry regions, or you can say desert condition. Okay, now during photosynthesis, carbon dioxide is fixed and it is converted into carbohydrate molecule, which is glucose. All right, and what happens during the respiration? The glucose molecule, okay, is oxidized to release energy. And in this process, carbon dioxide is also released. So, because of this, the rate of respiration, because the rate of respiration is equal to the rate of photosynthesis during the compensation point, there is no net photosynthetic gain, or there is no plant is not building any biomass, means there is no growth. Now, for compensation point to take place, or you can say compensation point takes place at low light intensity. Okay. So at low light intensity, the rate of photosynthesis is equal to the rate of respiration. Okay, or you can say compensation point is achieved at low light intensity. Now, what happens at the low light intensity, or when there is, or which is the duration of the time or the duration of the day where low light intensity occurs? It is the early morning. Okay, so during the early morning, the light intensity is very low, and also during the evening time also. During the evening time also, light intensity is low, and compensation point is seen either during the early morning or during the late evening. Okay, this is clear. So what happens at the low light intensity? The rate of photosynthesis is very less. This also we have discussed, that the rate of photosynthesis depends on the light intensity. Okay, so initially if you increase the intensity of the light, the rate of photosynthesis will increase, and if you increase the light intensity, or at very high light intensity, the rate of photosynthesis decreases. Okay, why? Because of the photooxidation of the chlorophyll molecule. Alright, so initially the rate will increase as the light intensity increase, then it will reach up to an optimal level, and then if we increase the light intensity beyond this optimal level, then the rate of photosynthesis will decrease due to the damage of the, or the photooxidation of the chlorophyll molecule. So at low light intensity, what happens? The rate of photosynthesis is very low, and what happens? The rate of respiration is also very low. Okay, and at low light intensity, the rate of photosynthesis becomes equal to the rate of respiration. This is clear? So this was all about the compensation point. Now let's have a look at the options. Now you will be able to answer this question. The first option is rate of respiration is equal to the rate of photosynthesis. Option B is rate of respiration is greater than rate of photosynthesis. Option C is rate of respiration is less than rate of photosynthesis. Option D is none of the above is correct. Now what should be the answer? Option number A is correct. Rate of respiration is equal to the rate of photosynthesis. Alright. Now let's talk about the next question. Among the following, which is a parasitic plant? Options are Plasmodium, Cuscuta, Amoeba, and Rhizobium. So they are asking about parasitic plant. So Plasmodium is not a plant. What is a Plasmodium? Plasmodium is a unicellular protozoan. Okay, it is a unicellular parasitic protozoan. So it is parasitic. Alright. Okay, and it is the causal agent of what? Malaria. It causes malaria in humans. Apart from humans, it also infects other vertebrates such as reptiles, and it also infects some of the mammals also. Let's talk about Cuscuta. So Cuscuta is a parasite. It is a parasitic plant. So what are parasites? Parasites are those organisms that are dependent on other organisms for nutrition, or you can say they gain nutrition from other organism. Okay, so they gain nutrition from the host, you can say, or from the other organisms. So what happens in Cuscuta? Cuscuta is not able to photosynthesize. Okay, so there is no photosynthesis in Cuscuta. It cannot photosynthesize. Okay, so it cannot produce its own food. So it is dependent on other plants for obtaining nutrition. That's why it is known as the parasitic plant. Amoeba, you know, amoeba is also a unicellular bacteria, and it attains its food through the process of phagocytosis. Okay, and the mode of nutrition in amoeba is holozoic. Holozoic also we have already discussed. What is holozoic? When the organism, it consumes food of various types, and then this food is later on digested, assimilated, and then digested. Alright. Rhizobium. Rhizobium is a symbiotic nitrogen fixing bacteria. Okay. It is a symbiotic nitrogen fixing bacteria. Okay. So here mode of nutrition is symbiosis. It forms symbiotic relationship with the root nodules of the leguminous plant. Alright. So what should be the answer to this question? Cuscuta. Cuscuta is the parasitic plant here. Now, coming to the next question. Nutrition in mucor is. Alright. So what is a mucor? Mucor is a, or you can say mucor belongs to the kingdom fungi. Alright. And it is a kind of a mold. Okay, mucor is a mold and belongs to the kingdom fungi. Alright. So, if we talk about the mucor, mucor belongs to Phycomycetes. Okay. Mucor belongs to Phycomycetes. And what are the characteristics of Phycomycetes? So Phycomycetes, first of all, it is the lowest group of true fungi. Okay. And Phycomycetes, they are also known as algal fungi. They are thread-like. Okay. And they are also known as the algal fungi. Now, Phycomycetes, there are a lot of features. They are cenocytic. Okay. And they are, the hyphae is septate or aseptate. Okay. So these are the features of the Phycomycetes, and mucor is a organism which belongs to the kingdom fungi. Okay. And it is a Phycomycetes. Another example of Phycomycetes is Rhizobium. Rhizopus, which is also known as the bread mold. Alright, so this was about the mucor. Now they are asking about the nutrition in mucor. Options are parasitic, autotrophic, saprophytic, and holozoic. So parasitic, we have already discussed, those organisms which are dependent on other organisms for nutrition. Autotrophic organisms. Okay, so auto means self. Okay, so these organisms are able to synthesize their own food. Okay, they are able to synthesize their own food. And there are two types of autotrophs, photoautotrophs and chemoautotrophs. Okay, photoautotrophs, they obtain the nutrition or they convert the light energy into the chemical energy. And chemoautotrophs, they obtain the energy from the chemical molecules. Okay, if we talk about saprophytes, What are saprophytes? Saprophytes are organisms that obtain the nutrition from dead and decaying organic matter. Okay, they obtain the food from dead and decaying organic matter. So fungi, okay, or the members of fungi are mostly saprophytic. And holozoic also we have already discussed. Example is amoeba, and other example is humans. Humans are also holozoic. So here what happens? In holozoic nutrition, mostly the food consumed is solid, but some liquid food is also consumed, and that is later on digested, assimilated, and ingested. Okay, in holozoic mode of nutrition, various types of food are consumed by the organisms. So what should be the answer here? Saprophytic, as mucor is a fungi, it belongs to fungi, and members of the fungi mostly they obtain nutrition through saprophytic mode. The next question is, in amoeba, the digestion is intracellular, means within the cell. So options are, amoeba is unicellular, it is multicellular, it is found in pond, or it is a microscopic animal. So starting with the option D, it is microscopic animal. No, it is not it is microscopic, but it is not an animal. Amoeba is found in pond, so this is not related to the intracellular digestion. Amoeba is multicellular, this is also not correct. Amoeba is unicellular. So what should be the correct answer here? Option number A, amoeba is unicellular. So amoeba has a very simple form. Okay, it is very primitive organism, and a single cell is performing all the vital roles that are required for the survival. Okay, it is unicellular. Uni means one celled. Okay, single cell. It is unicellular, and a single cell is performing all the vital functions that are required for the survival. So in amoeba, what happens? It obtains nutrition through phagocytosis. And in phagocytosis, what happens? With the help of the pseudopodia. Okay, with the help of the pseudopodia, it engulfs the food. Okay, in the previous lecture, we have already discussed, okay, how the amoeba obtains nutrition. So what happens during phagocytosis? With the help of the pseudopodia, the bacteria or the amoeba, it engulfs the food or the cell, okay, and then it is internalized. The food material is internalized, and then it is stored in the vacuoles. And then what happens? The enzymes from the cytoplasm, they enter the vacuole, which is known as the food vacuole, and then it is digested, and the undigested food is thrown out of the body. So option number A is the correct answer here. Now, next question is, digestion of food in humans start from duodenum, small intestine, mouth, or large intestine. So, during the digestion, what happens? First, you can say first step is ingestion, which means the uptake of food through mouth. All right. So in mouth or the buccal cavity, what happens? Salivary glands are present. Okay, if you talk about the humans, there are 3 pairs of salivary glands. And what is the role of salivary gland? They secrete the saliva. And saliva contains digestive enzymes, okay, which is known as ptyalin, or another name for ptyalin is salivary amylase. Okay, so salivary amylase or ptyalin, it helps in the digestion of the carbohydrate. So the digestion starts, you can say, in the mouth. Carbohydrates are digested in the mouth. Duodenum is a part of the small intestine. Okay, it is C-shaped structure. It is a part of a small intestine, and in small intestine, digestion of proteins, lipids, and carbohydrates take place. Okay, So duodenum is not the answer. Small intestine again is not the answer. Large intestine, okay, here basically absorption of water takes place. Okay, water is reabsorbed into the body. Okay, so what should be the answer here? Mouth. Now next question is the digestion of food is completed in. So the previous question was digestion of food starts where, and then this question is the digestion of food is completed where? Okay, in which part of the alimentary canal? Option A is ileum, option B is duodenum, option C is stomach, and option D is large intestine. So if we talk about the ileum, ileum is a part of the small intestine. Okay, so if we talk about small intestine, it has three parts. The first part is the duodenum. Then the middle part is known as jejunum. And the last part is known as the ileum. Alright, these are the three parts of the small intestine. Stomach is, it's before the small intestine. So stomach leads to small intestine, and stomach is connected to the duodenum, which is the first part of the intestine. So in stomach, what happens? Digestion takes place, but the complete digestion takes place in the small intestine. Alright, large intestine, we have already seen absorption of water takes place. So option A and option B we should consider. And what will be the answer among these, option A and option B? Ileum is the correct answer. So ileum is the last part of the small intestine, and digestion is completed in the ileum, which is the last part of the intestine. The next question is the most important function of villi in small intestine is. So what are villi? So villi are the finger-like projections. Okay, these are finger-like projections that are present in the small intestine, and they increase the surface area for absorption. Okay, so the nutrients are absorbed in the small intestine. Okay, and they are absorbed with the help of these villi that are present in the small intestine, and they project in the lumen of the small intestine. Okay, this is a very simple sketch, very rough sketch that I am drawing of the villi. So villi look like this. These are the finger-like projections. These are known as the villi, and on villi further these microvilli are present. Okay, so these are villi that are present, okay, in the small intestine, and this is the lumen of the intestine. This is the villi, which helps to increase the surface area for absorption. Okay, now let's have a look at the options here. Option A is to provide strength to the intestine. Option B is to provide space for capillaries and lacteals. Option C is to provide increased surface area for absorption of the digested food. And option D is to provide habitat for the bacteria. Okay. So as already discussed, answer is option number C. But the role of villi is to provide the increased surface area for absorption of the digested food. So the nutrients, they are absorbed through this villi, okay, and they reach the blood. So what is special of villi? Villi, they are one cell thick. They are only one cell thick, and because of this, nutrients are absorbed. Okay, these nutrients, these are absorbed, and then they reach the blood. Okay. The next question. Which of the following sections does not contain enzymes? Option A is bile, option B is pancreatic juice, option C is intestinal juice, option D is saliva. So let's start with the pancreatic juice. So pancreatic juice contains the enzymes. Okay, it is secreted by the pancreas, and it contains enzyme for the digestion of what? Carbohydrates, proteins, as well as fats. Okay, intestinal juice. So this is secreted in the intestine by the intestinal glands. Okay, and it also contains enzymes for the digestion of carbohydrate, proteins, and fats. Saliva, we have already discussed, it contains an enzyme, salivary amylase, which helps in the digestion of what? Carbohydrates. So what should be the answer? Bile. Bile doesn't contain any enzymes. Bile, which is secreted by the liver, contains only the salts and some of the pigments such as bilirubin and biliverdin. Okay, and the rest all, B, C, and D, rest all of these, they contain enzymes. Okay, so some of the enzymes, so initially they secrete the inactivated form of the enzyme such as pepsinogen, chymotrypsinogen, and all. Okay, and then they are activated and they help in the digestion of carbohydrate, proteins, and fat. Okay, so here the correct option is bile. The next question is, chewing is an example of. So when we ingest the food, after ingestion of the food, we chew the food. Okay, and then it mixes with the saliva and it forms the bolus. Okay, so it is an example of chemical digestion, mechanical digestion, involuntary action, or hydrolysis. So chemical digestion, it takes place with the help of enzymes. So enzymes are involved in chemical digestion. In mechanical digestion, it takes place with the help of the teats, which is present in the buccal cavity, which helps in the grinding, tearing. Okay. Next is involuntary action. So chewing is not an involuntary action. It is a voluntary action. We decide whether to chew the food or not. And hydrolysis, so it is completely a different reaction. Here what happens? Here, in the presence of water, the chemical bond in a particular molecule is broken down. So this is known as hydrolysis. Okay. So what should be the answer here? Mechanical digestion. Chewing is an example of mechanical digestion. Now next question is the final product of digestion of carbohydrates and proteins. Okay, so carbohydrate, these are the, and protein, these are the complex molecules. And the question is, what is the final product of digestion? So options are glycerol and amino acid and glycerol, glucose and amino acid and glycerol. So okay, so let's have a look at the answer here. Answer is glucose and amino acids. So carbohydrate, they are broken down into the simpler form, okay, which is known as the glucose, and amino acid. Okay, so the proteins are broken down into the simpler form, which are known as the amino acid. So we already know this amino acid. So this is the amino acid 1. It combines with amino acid 2. Okay, and the further amino acid 3, and a peptide bond is formed between these amino acids, and then a protein molecule is formed. So when the protein molecule is broken down, it forms the amino acid, and the complex molecule, okay, such as starch and all, or you can say maltose and all, they are broken down into simpler form known as glucose with the help of various enzymes such as amylase, you can say maltase, okay, sucrase. So these are the all enzymes that are helpful in the digestion of the glucose of the complex carbohydrate molecules. Okay, so this was the end of this session. We'll be discussing about the rest of the topics in the next session. Thank you very much.